Oh, let's get into it. When was the last time you cried?
Well, I'm sure there's been moments where I've sort of shed some tears here or there, but the sort of last time where I would have had a real big cry would have certainly been back when my niece passed away, and around that time. It's where the last time I had really that sort of real outpouring of tears that you find. So that'd be that time. So that was back in 2013 when she passed away. She was 15 months old. Went to sleep one day after having a great day, run around the backyard, ate up all her dinner, and then just never woke up in the morning. So passed away from TLTIC, they call it, so sudden unexplained death in childhood.
That's tragic. That was your brother's child?
That was my older brother's second daughter.
Yeah.
So Lena was the first child, and she's had no problems, and Sylv was the second child, and so 15 months in, passed away.
How did you feel when you got that news?
So I was actually, it was a Monday morning. I was at school and had a phone call from Mum, which was a bit strange because Mum and Dad actually lived over in Hong Kong at the time, and she called and said, I've got some bad news, and said the words, Sylvie's died. And I just remember, I guess just being not so much in shock at the time, but I just couldn't compute that sentence because it just didn't make sense. Like, Sylvie has died, that just doesn't make sense. So it took a while for me to sort of actually understand what she was saying.
So almost like shock, almost.
Yeah, I guess it was shock. I couldn't make sense of those words in that order and that sentence. Didn't make sense. So once I understood what was going on, they lived in Melbourne, and I said Mum and Dad they're in Hong Kong. My other brother lived in Broome, and Emma's family all lived down in our sort of Port Fairy way. So
Emma's your wife?
Emma's my brother's wife.
Your brother's wife.
So I was the first one to go, so I drove over there straight away. And that was, the police were still there, the ambulance was still there, and walking in and seeing my brother and sister-in-law still holding Sylv there, and I got to give her a cuddle and a kiss and sort of chance to say goodbye and that sort of thing. But that was just tragic. Just seeing my brother like that and seeing my sister-in-law like that was really, really tragic.
Oh, it is tragic, and the suddenness of it after having a day, as you said, where everything was looking fantastic, and the joy of a child running around the backyard with laughter and fun, and all of a sudden you go to bed as a parent thinking, this is going to be great, another day of this tomorrow.
Yep, and that's that complete unexpectedness of it, and not that it matters, but my brother's a doctor and my sister-in-law's a midwife, so you'd think if if there were signs there or anything that they probably would have picked them up, but that sudden unexplained death is no explanation.
So I hope I'm not sharing too much, but you've recently had your own child.
Yes, that's true. So that's there was definitely some anxiety about that because everyone is aware that it does happen, but once it's actually happened to someone really close to you, I think probably has a little bit more of an effect. Certainly, those first 12 months we slept in the same room as Charlie every night. We had one of us in there every night with him, we certainly probably a little bit anxious about that sort of thing. That's just
it's sort of funny, isn't it? Like we know about SIDS and we have Red Nose Day and those sorts of stuff, but it's almost like until you experience that at a slightly removed basis, it doesn't become real. It becomes something that you hear about and something that you think about, but it's not something that you're affected by in that sense.
I think you're right. Like it is, like I'm sure everyone's aware of it. I'm sure other parents have the same sort of concerns about their children, and they put them out of sleep. But I think having been exposed to it so closely, it certainly affected me a little bit more.
I've done the retreats with you with the Year 12s, and I know this is something that you share on occasion with the Year 12 students. How have you become, not comfortable with it, but how have you become okay with it, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably a real credit to my brother and sister-in-law. Even in those first couple of days and that sort of first week when there was a lot of family around at their house sort of thing, like I almost, we were all sort of there to try and give them support and that sort of thing, but I really felt like they sort of gave us support and made us feel okay just by saying, we still want to say Sylvie's name, we still want to speak about her, we don't want to, people to feel awkward about mentioning her or that sort of thing. So I think I'm sort of doing them justice by telling people Sylvie's story. They'd love knowing that, people hearing about Sylvie's story and that she's sort of continuing on that way. So I feel like if I love speaking about Sylvie, I love talking and telling people about her, and if it sort of helps raise a bit of awareness, then that's a good thing as well.
So how old she'd be? What, almost 8.5 now?
Yeah, so I think she'd be in about grade 1 or 2. Yeah, something like those. Yeah.
And I know this experience for you too, knowing a little bit about it, has led into some action for you, like almost like a cause or a calling as such. So you did the running and the...
Oh, yeah, the running, yeah. Well, that was just one of those things, my sister-in-law, she sort of went down, I guess, not a more spiritual path, but a more sort of meditation, that sort of thing that helps sort of deal with her grief, whereas my brother just found running really helpful. So going for that long run, time to sort of just think, thoughts to yourself or, whatever it is. And then he sort of said, I'm going to do a half marathon for Sylv, and that was in 2014. So just less than a year after she passed away. And then so a few other people said, oh yeah, well, we'll get involved and do that as well. And that year, Team Sylvie Sunshine sort of expanded into sort of, friends of friends of friends getting involved. Ended up raising about $150,000 for the Red Nose Foundation, or now known as SIDS and Kids. No, it used to be called SIDS and Kids, now known as the Red Nose Foundation. And that's had a couple of rebirths now, the Team Sylvie Sunshine. So any sort of Melbourne fun run, you'll usually see 1 or 2 people running around with Sylv's photo on their chest. And we've had a couple of other sort of big events where we've got the team back together, and it's been just another way to raise awareness about, tell Sylvie's story, and raise money for SIDS and for Red Nose as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. How much do you think you might have raised total now, do you think?
Well, look, that first year was definitely started off at a bang. Yeah. Subsequent years have still, I think they've raised like over in the tens of thousands of dollars. But so at least I think it'd be $170,000 or $180,000 all up.
Wow.
100,000. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Will you tell Charlie about Sylvie?
Oh, 100%. He'll already at Christmas or whenever there's special milestones, if there's a photo of all the grandchildren, there's a photo of Sylvie's, there as well. So Sylvie will just be, just like he'll know his cousins, Lena, Frank and Vera on that side, Sylvie will be mentioned just as much as anyone else there as well.
So she'll become part of his story in the same way that Sylvie's now part of your story and your brother's and your sister-in-law's story. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
It's great that you don't lose that memory, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And no, still it's definitely, all those Christmas functions or any sort of special event, even at my wife's and my wedding, Sylv would have probably been a flower girl there with her sister Lena and the cousins. But, Sylv's there. They had the photo of her in the venue and that sort of thing. So she's always there with us on those big events, because that's something that's really sad as well with, obviously not just Sylv's life being cut short, but she'll miss out on all those sort of big moments and all those big family occasions where we do all come together. Is just that little bit of sadness that, Sylv's not there as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fantastic to keep that memory alive, because she doesn't stop to exist because she's no longer with us. She becomes part of everybody's story, part of everyone's narrative, doesn't she? Yeah. And
even though, some people might seem a bit weird going to have a picnic in a cemetery on Christmas Day, but if we're down at Port Fairy, then we'll go visit Sylv and take some food and have our little Christmas picnic in the Port Fairy Cemetery sometimes as well. So we certainly keep her a part of our life and celebrations.
Are you, other than that, are you a big crier? Like, are you an emotional sort of bloke?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a huge crier, but I wouldn't be ashamed to if it happens when and if it happens. No, it hasn't, not something huge, but when it's necessary, like certainly the birth of my son, I think.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
That got me there, especially even with him with the second night when we sort of thought, the next day we're going to go home, take him home. The nurses sort of came in at about 1 a.m. and said, there's little complications. We have to go take him up to the special care unit. Okay. So he had to get rushed off to there, and that was a little bit scary.
Absolutely.
But he just spent extra couple of nights in the special care unit and it was okay, and we got him home. But that was a little bit scary as well.
So that is tough, because you get this initial joy of he's my son, and then all of a sudden, I suspect the memories of Sylvie come flooding back, and that anxiety would increase. But
I remember. Actually, I remember calling Mum in the morning just saying everything's fine, but we've gone, and even with that, she started crying straight away, and I started crying. Even with everything's okay, everything's fine, but So that was tears then as well. You're right.
Yeah. What's it like being a dad, Michael?
It's great. I love it. Yeah. It's really exciting, and the silver lining of this whole isolation 2.0 is a bit more time at home, get to see him a lot more. So loving that as well.
Absolutely. So what do you think is important about men, and young men in particular, because that's who we're directing this at? What's the benefit then of sharing that emotion, of not being afraid or scared to show it to your friends or your peers?
Well, I think just by opening it up and saying that showing your tears, that's obviously a way of showing that you're upset. I think that's it's a sign to other people to say, yep, I do need some help, and I'm ready to accept some help. I know that certainly when that happened with Sylv, I had a couple of really good mates who sat down and let me just sort of vomit it all out, all my emotions, that sort of thing. That was sort of like in the aftermath, in the sort of short aftermath just afterwards, but also then just like in the weeks and sort of months afterwards, I'd have mates just sort of just texting me, just saying, how you going, is everything, you're feeling okay, and that sort of thing. So I think, the fact that they sort of knew that obviously it had been a big deal and it upset me, just the fact that I think that let them know that it's okay to sort of talk to me and sort of ask me how I was going.
Yeah, it would be challenging. Honestly, when they asked that question of you, Michael, are you okay? Did you give them the, no, I'm fine, everything's all right? Or did you?
No, I think I was pretty honest. I think I was pretty honest. I'm lucky to have a really good bunch of mates. I'm mates with people I went, a bunch of them, all of them are from primary school, where we sort of went to school, high school, and still together today. So, no, I'm quite lucky that we've got a really strong bond, and I'm quite lucky that I can sort of speak openly with them.
It is, and you the same for them, I take it.
Yep. Yeah. And even that's the other sort of positive thing that sort of came out of this, Sylv's passing, was, definitely before that, I wouldn't have been able to tell you the last time I sort of told my brothers that I loved them, or, probably even my parents, to be honest. But certainly in those, especially in those first couple of days after, it's pretty much, at the end of each day when you sort of leave the house, give them a hug, tell them you love them, and that sort of thing. So that's sort of something that's definitely improved. Maybe don't still tell them I love them every time I see them, sort of thing, but we definitely even just, definitely I give them a call every couple of days and that sort of thing. We're definitely in touch a lot more, and it's definitely brought the family closer as well, I'd say.
So if I tap into my theme of trying to be strong can sometimes make you weak, that vulnerability that you've showed and offered to your peers and your friends and your family has actually come back and
100%.
been an amazing support for you through this whole thing.
Yep, absolutely. And I think
and through Charlie's birth too.
Yeah, I think if I had tried to sort of say, oh, yep, I'm fine, and yep, I'm okay, then they would think, oh, well, he's okay, so I won't sort of offer him that extra support, and that would have not been, wouldn't have been ideal.
And also that sort of unspoken, well, if he's okay, I should be okay too.
Yeah, 100%.
And if they're not okay, then your vulnerability or your willingness to talk about something that's difficult and emotional actually models for them that, you know, I can be not okay with this as well.
Yeah. No, I think, that was good. Yeah, we were able to sort of say, yep, I'm not, you know, I'm upset and sad about this, and that's okay to feel that way, and we'll get through it and support each other through it. Whereas I think if you just sort of blocked yourself off and said, yep, I'm okay, and everyone else said, oh, okay, well, yep, I'm okay as well, and no one deals with it, and that's not helpful.
And is that something you've brought to your role as house coordinator?
Well, I'd like to think I'd let the boys know that I'm always there to offer an ear to them. I'd like to think that they'd be comfortable coming into my office and letting me know if there was an issue. Yep. I'd certainly like to think that's the way I present myself, and make the boys feel that they would always be welcome to come and speak to me about anything. And I'm aware that, you know, things go on and things don't always go right, and I could be a sympathetic ear to that.
So what about now when all students, Year 12s in particular, are going to be struggling because the Year 12 that they planned is not the one that they're getting? Do you think, it's a sort of rhetorical question, I suppose, but that the support that they can offer each other is vitally important through this sort of period? Absolutely.
And I think it's that case of, if they're not feeling great, you know, reach out to yourself, reach out to me, reach out to their peers. But it also really impressed to the boys to, you know, keep an eye out for each other. If there is a mate who they haven't sort of heard much from, or, you know, hasn't been very active on social or something like that, you know, do reach out and just ask them if they're doing okay as well. Don't have to wait for are you okay day to ask them if they're doing okay.
Yeah,
I think especially in this next at least 6 weeks of lockdown, it's going to be really important.
I agree. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me and to whoever watches this video, and thanks for showing that it's okay not to be okay.
Yep.
And thanks for sharing the memory of Sylvie with us, and we really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak about it.
Good on you, mate.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.